Dear students, today I will tell you the second part of the deep water. In the first part, I told you that he went to the YMCA pool with his water wings and he started swimming there, aping other boys. And he was about to feel comfortable. Suddenly, the misadventure happened. Today I will tell about that misadventure. So, he went to the pool. There was no one else there. The place was quiet. There was complete silence. Water was still, means when he went there was no one and he was all alone. He was the first one to go to the pool. He could see the tiled bottom of the pool because the water was neat and clean. It was not disturbed. But he was very timid to go into the water all alone. He was very shy, timid, coward, shy. He could not dare to go into the water himself alone. So what did he do? He sat on the side of the pool and started waiting for other children to come there. He was waiting and he had not been there for a long time. Suddenly a big bruiser of a boy came there, a bully boy came there who was probably 18 years old. His physical appearance, his physical features, he had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles, means he was muscular. He was strong boy. His age was 18 and he was very strong. He was well built with his legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. He yelled, he screamed, he cried, "Hi Skinny, how would you like to be ducked?" He spoke out these words. Ducked means go into. With that, he picked him up. He picked the author and tossed him into the end. He threw him into the deep end of the pool. The narrator was sitting there waiting for the other children. He was picked up by that strong boy and he threw him into the deepest part of the pool. He landed into the water in the sitting position. He was sitting there, so he landed into the water in sitting position only. Swallowed water. Water went into his mouth. He swallowed water and went at once to the bottom because he was thrown forcefully. So he at once went to the bottom of the pool. He was very much frightened. Writer was very much frightened. The narrator was very much frightened, but his mind was not out of senses. It was still in his control, although he was very much frightened, but not yet frightened, but of my wits, means still he has some senses. It was not beyond his control. On the way, he planned, means while going down into the water, the narrator planned when his feet uh, hit the bottom, he would make a big jump. That he would make he would hit the bottom and would make a big jump and come to the surface and lie flat on it and paddle to the edge of the pool. Means he planned that he would, as soon as he reached to the bottom, he would hit the bottom and come up on the surface, lie flat on it and paddle, means wave his hands and feet to come to the edge of the pool. It was really very bad experience for him. He was just unaware when he was thrown into the pool. So it seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet looked to him 90. Means at the time of difficulty, at the time of danger, the things look more severe. So these 9 feet The pool was 9 feet deep only, but at this difficult time, it looked to him as if it was 90 feet deep. He was full of fear. He touched the bottom. His lungs were ready to burst because the water was filled in his lungs. And when his feet hit bottom, he summoned all his strength and made a great jump, spring upwards. He jumped upwards with full force, and he had thought that he would come up like a cork. He would bob, he would come up like a cork, the cover of a bottle. But instead, he came slowly. He did not come as he had expected. He had thought that he would come up and swim to the bank of the pool. He opened his eyes and saw nothing. And what did he find? There was only water all around him. And what kind of water? It was dirty. Dirty yellow tinge. Tinge means color to it. Why? Because the water had become muddy. So he grew panicky. He was full of fear, panicky, and he was trying to hold a rope, and but every time he was holding only water, he was catching only water. There was water all around him, and he was suffocating, feeling difficulty in breathing. He wanted to cry. El means cry, but no sound came out because under the water, sound cannot be heard. Then his eyes and nose came out of water. Eyes and nose only. Eyes and nose came out of the water, but not his mouth. His mouth remained under the water only. Only eyes and nose came out of the water. Then he uh, he waved. He was swimming without control. I flailed. Flailed means waving without control at the surface of the water. He had no control over himself. He swallowed water and choked. The water stuck into his throat. It blocked his throat. He tried to bring up his legs up, but they hung as dead weights. He could not move his feet. Paralyzed and rigid, they were not ready to move, paralyzed. And a great force was pulling him under. The force of water was pulling him under. He screamed, but nobody was there to hear him. Only water heard him, and he started his long journey back to the bottom of the pool. Now it is his second journey. It was his first journey. Now he had started his second journey. Now I struck at the water as I went down. He used all his force, as in one in nightmare. Nightmare, bad dream, dream which is very fearful, and irresistible force, the force which cannot be faced. So he was fighting like as one fights in the nightmare. He lost all his breath, his lungs ached, his head throbbed, and he was getting dizzy. A question comes to in the examination: describe his journey into the water for the first time, second time, and third time. So it is second time when he was going down, and he was getting dizzy. Then he remembered the strategy, his plan, that he would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like cork to the surface and lie flat on the water, strike out his arms and thrash with his legs. Then he would get to the edge of the pool he remembered this plan. This was his plan earlier, and again he remembered this plan. He went down endlessly. He opened his eyes, but there was only water, a yellow glow, yellow color, tinge of yellow tinge, dark water that one could not see through, means now it became invisible because of this muddy water. Then sheer, stark, very terror seized me. Only sheer, stark terror, very too much terror. It overpowered him. He was very much panicked. Terror that knows no understanding. When is, you might have experienced it also sometimes, that when you are full of fear, then you don't understand what to do. Terror that knows no control, it becomes beyond control. All senses fail. Terror that no one understands who has not experienced it. Actually, the people who have not undergone such kind of terror, they cannot understand the feelings or feelings and emotions of that person who has suffered this. So he was shrieking underwater. He was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. He was full of fear and he was paralyzed. His hands and feet refused to move. Even the screams in his throat were frozen, means whatever he was crying there, but there was no one to listen to him. He could only his heart and his pounding in his head, means his head was throbbing, that he could realize that he was alive. He could sense that he was alive only because of his heart was moving, his heart was working, and his head was throbbing. Then in the midst of the terror, touch of reason, he remembered that as soon as he reached to the bottom, he had to hit the bottom. He did the same. When his toes reached out, when he felt tiles under him, when he thought that he had reached to the bottom of the pool, and his toes were trying to reach there forcefully and to grab them, and he wanted to jump with full force, so he jumped with everything that he had, means he jumped with all his might. What was the result of the jump? The jump made no difference. It made no difference. The water was still around him. He wanted to catch ropes, ladders, water wings, but there was nothing except water. There was nothing. Then a mass of yellow water held him. Water held him. He was covered by the yellow water only. Stark terror took an even deeper hold on him, like a great charge of electricity, like a person is electrocuted. He shook and trembled with fright. His arms would not move. His legs would not move. He tried to call for help. He called his mother, but nothing happened. Everything became useless. Now, then suddenly or strangely, there was light. He thought that he was coming out of the awful yellow water. Actually, at least his eyes had come out of water. His nose was almost out too. Now it was the completion of his second journey. Then he started third time. He sucked for air and got water. He wanted to breathe, but he got water, and water filled his mouth. The yellowish light was going out. Again, he was going into the darkness, into the water. This time, up to first and second time, he was putting some efforts, but this time he left. Then all efforts ceased. He relaxed. Even his legs felt limp. They did not move. and blackness swept over my brain means now he could not think. There was complete darkness in his brain. He was overcome by the fear, so he left all the actions. I wiped out fear, it wiped out terror. Then he left thinking about this fear of water, and the terror went away from his mind. Now there was no panic. It was quiet and peaceful, means now he was feeling comfortable, he was feeling peace, because now he had thought that he was going to die and there was nothing left there, so there was no need to fear, nothing to be afraid of. This is nice to be drowsy. He wanted to sleep. He was going to sleep. He did not feel the need of jumping. Too tired to jump. He was too much exhausted. He had no power to jump now. It is nice to be carried gently, to float along in space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mothers. Now I must go to sleep. Now he decided to leave all his efforts, and he, after this, he did not know what happened to him. He forgot, and he thought that the curtain of life fell. He thought now he was going to die. So I have told you about the misadventure and his long journey into the water 3 times, and in the next video I will tell that what were the efforts made by him to get rid of this fear of water. Hope that you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.